Hello YouTube, my name is Venator, and in today's video, we are back on Petits Pieds EU server, continuing our Prime Deinosuchus adventure. The last time we were on this guy, we did our entire grow in East Lake where we hit Prime, and then we made our way over to Delta, where we scraped by a living and made our way all the way to 10.5 tons. From Delta, we came over to finish out this grow at Coastal Pond. This has been one of my favorite little honey holes, if you will. It can be really good, or as you guys will see, it can go really cold. But either way, it's a great and fun place to hunt at. So if you guys enjoy this video, please drop a like or comment below. And if you don't want to miss out, be sure you hit that subscribe button. Anyway, let's jump right into the action where we got a nice big Maya grab. And getting a kill like this when your hunger is really full is kind of a double-edged sword. It's great because I've got food sitting here anytime I need it, and it's great for bait to lure other carnivores. But on the flip side, if people approach this little watering hole and see a big corpse, they're gonna just be very curious as to what killed that. And more than likely, they're gonna surmise that it was probably a Deinosuchus and avoid drinking here. Either way though, sometimes if you leave the corpse in the bushes like I did there, things won't notice it. This big stego came right up to the watering hole for a quick drink. And since I didn't really need this food, I took the body and set it up here right next to the Maya. Hopefully, it will draw some carnivores over and they will risk taking a quick bite from the corpse. But the corpse didn't entice these carnos. They came right up for another drink of water, and hey, I'll take it. Food is food. And after finishing off the first carno that I grabbed, I noticed that the second one was still well within range. And just like that, a nice carno double kill. Always fun to get. And then the next day, we had a couple patchies come up for a drink of water. I almost didn't hear them in time, but luckily I got back just in time as I had just crossed the 11-ton mark. We were well on our way to 13.5 tons. And another nice little double kill. This will definitely help hold me over. But then, as you can see, we went on a really long cold spell. For those that are curious, a full prime, their stomach can last up to 2 hours. Now, I'm not exactly sure what that is on a growing prime, because you do go through your hunger a little bit quicker with your growing ticks, but it's still a fairly lengthy amount of time that you go between a full stomach and an empty stomach. Here, I probably hadn't seen anything in over an hour. But then I had this little baby come in the pond. And I figured, hey, it might be nice to have a little friend. But I did let him know. I hadn't seen anything in a long time, and so I probably wouldn't be in the pond that much longer. And then shortly after his arrival, we had another victim come up to the pond. This time, it was very small and not much use to me, so I grabbed the corpse and would roll the organs and let the little guy feast. Because while not doing a ton for me, the organs from this small kill is everything for a small, growing gator like this guy. But unfortunately, my situation did not improve at all. Nothing came to the pond after that, and I had to leave my little friend and make my way over to Delta. As you can see, by the time I got here, I was nearly on red hunger, and I got lucky and I found a small corpse on the side of the shore that I could scavenge and at least give myself a chance to find some larger prey, or keep scavenging. You gotta do what you gotta do. And so, after polishing that little corpse off, it was back into the river delta to continue our journey upstream towards water access. But we wouldn't make it far. Not too long after getting back into Delta, I noticed this Maya isolated himself on this island next to that rock. So if I could squeeze through these little channels, I was thinking maybe I could get a long lunge and grab on this guy. It was tricky though. Getting through these channels without making any noise is extremely difficult, especially when you're getting to be a large prime Deinosuchus. I wasn't quite 13.5 tons yet. I think I was still around the 12.5 ton mark here, so I was just able to slither down this channel without making a ton of noise. I sat and waited, hoping that maybe he would come across and try and make his way back, but I was so large, I knew that if I did that, I probably wouldn't be able to get to the spot that he was crossing in time. The only chance I had by that play was getting lucky that he tried to cross right on top of me. So I made it over here to the back side of the rock where I knew I could hit a super lunge and then hope to get him with a follow-up lunge if he didn't have time to stand up. And even though I missed the super lunge and definitely had the range, well, I got him with the follow-up lunge. And then I realized I didn't quite have enough stamina, and lo and behold, there was another large prime Deinosuchus in the water. All I could hope was that this guy would help me out and not attack me. So I tried to do my best and dropped him right in front of him and then typed a message. This guy could have easily had a partner under the water that I couldn't have seen, and then that would have been the conclusion of this story right then and there. As a thank you for helping me get that Maya down, I let him have the rest of the body after I got my hunger up to the halfway mark. That way, I would have enough time to go out and find another meal. And as I was making my way up to water access, I had an idea and decided on a change of plans. I figured, since I'm playing solo and this is all about survival, I might as well go try a smaller out of the way spot and see how it goes. So I exited the delta and started the walk over to the Forks Plains pond. And for those new players out there, I decided to leave this entire walk in the video and sped it up for time's sake, just so you guys could see the little path that takes you over to Fork Pond. And as I made my approach to the pond, there was an aloe drinking. So I thought to myself that, hey, this might actually turn out to be a pretty good hunting hole. I haven't been here in a long time, so I really wasn't sure what to expect. But unfortunately for me, that aloe was the only thing that I saw. And so I had to make my way back to Delta. And I thought about going up to water access, but with my hunger so low, I didn't know or really want to risk getting up there and there not being anything there to kill or eat. So I came back down to Delta and I found a nice sized body that I could scavenge and would hold me over. if I could figure out where to actually grab and eat it. Sometimes bodies like that are tricky and they bounce around, and where you see it isn't actually where they're at. And after that body, I noticed a bunch of small bodies up on this hill. And I figured, you know what? I might as well go up and just do some trash collection and just scoop up all these small corpses. Because as a dino, even though they might not fill a lot of percent individually, together might give me 10-15%, which is pretty good. From there, with my hunger just under half, I made the trip up towards water access. And as I got to the last leg of the journey, this big waterfall, that's when I noticed a Tyrannosaurus Rex drinking from the water right next to me. And I'll be honest, I didn't really think anything of it at first because I figured he was too big. But as I took a closer look, I realized he was very much grabbable. Not really sure what this guy was thinking. He was probably pretty close to the not grabbable size and had no idea that a full prime, could be lurking in these waters. And as someone who's been playing a ton of Rex lately, I know how this guy feels. There's probably not many worse feelings than losing a good sized Rex right after you get out of the small and defenseless phase. But this guy, he did learn a valuable lesson about the Deinosuchus. And that's that no matter how many times you drink from somewhere and you don't get grabbed, eventually the tables will turn. And at 13.3 tons, this Rex would get me all the way to full prime. So after I finished this guy up, I would continue my walk all the way up to water access, where I would not see another thing and eventually have to make the journey all the way back down to Delta. But the good thing is, I didn't have to wait long once I got down back into Delta. I noticed this group of aloes, and I couldn't really tell what was drinking behind the rock, but I could tell that the bigger ones were definitely still within super lunge range, and they did not know it. And after that guy finally drowned, I was feeling generous. if you guys didn't notice, that smaller Deinosuchus was kind of hovering around me. He didn't really talk and chat, or I don't know what his deal was, but he was very comfortable sitting around me, probably because he knew I was going to get some food. So I decided he could have it, and I moved on, thinking that, you know what, since my luck seemed to have turned around, I could probably find something else. But as you guys can probably guess, I was dead wrong on that, and I was back to starving in no time. So after making a loop down to estuary and back up, I had to come back up here and was hoping to either one, find that croc I let go to eat him, or two, and what actually happened, polish off this aloe that I figured he probably couldn't eat all of. And after some more traveling around looking for food, I really was having some pretty bad luck. And as a solo, I was kind of surprised that I hadn't seen more crocs around Delta. And then that finally changed. I found this group of smaller Deinosuchus all growing together right in the middle of Delta. This guy was quite a bit smaller than me, and there was no escape. I toyed with him for a little bit to see if he had any moves, but he went down really quick after the grab. He must have been really low on stamina and oxygen. And as I took him up, I saw his buddy try and make an escape for it. And I figured, you know what? I'm not feeling merciful anymore. I've been too close to starving. Mr. Nice Guy is going away. So I finished him off too and added him next to the pile. And that's when I spotted a third croc over there. And I couldn't leave any witnesses, so he had to go. And after watching me slaughter his two friends, this guy had the gall to just sit there and shake his head at me. Didn't type out in chat, didn't try and run, just watched and waited as I came over and grabbed him and then put out the aw man. I don't know about some of these guys' survival instincts, but if I saw an enormous monster prime kill two of my buddies that were just growing, I would probably try and go hide while he was occupied. But hey, all this food will definitely fill me up and allow me to continue on the next leg of my journey. And that would be going all the way up to North Lake. Since I had this much food, I knew I had plenty of time to travel. And so for those of you that saw my How to Get to North Lake guide, this is where I made that trip. So I'm going to kind of just skip through that entire trip, and we're going to jump right into North Lake. So if you want to see how to get up here from Delta, go check out that video. But anyway, once I made my way up here into North Lake, I spotted two other Deinosuchus. And so I made my approach, trying to gauge how big they were. My hunger was at half, so I wasn't in dire need of food, but based on my past experiences, I kind of thought that I should probably try and kill one of these guys. But based off his tail, and seeing that the second one with him was not that much smaller, I figured that this probably wasn't a fight that I was going to win. And so, as they were making their way out of the area, I was just kind of shadowing them, keeping an eye on them. And that's when I noticed a triceratops on the island in the middle of North Lake. And I couldn't believe my eyes. I don't know what this trike was doing, but he set himself up in a bad spot. So I made my way all the way to the waterfall because I saw those two crocs leave the lake, and I was hoping that I could catch them. But it turns out they turned around and came right back into the lake. So I did what I always tell you guys not to do and chatted out to a pair while I was solo. Lucky for me, one of them recognized me, and they were chill crocs. and we chatted back and forth about the trike over on the island. I hadn't seen him as I was leaving, so I figured that he was going to log out or had already logged. So since these guys came back up to the lake, I was going to head out and not wait around to get jumped when they got hungry. But just as I was about to leave, I saw the trike come back out from the trees on the little island and sit right next to the shore, in a prime position where we could jump him. So I told these guys, let's go get him. Because if you didn't know, Petits has a rule where the Deinosuchus can temporarily overpack to attack dinosaurs that are drinking or near the water's edge. And this is confused by a lot of people to mean that you can only do this to attack more than one dinosaur, which is not true. The entire time I've been playing on this server, you've been allowed to overpack and kill herbivores anytime, whether they're solo or not. Now they've reworded and rewritten this rule throughout the years that I've been on this server, but the premise of the rule has never changed, and Poutine himself has defended it and upheld the rule. So I hope you guys enjoy this awesome fight and kill. And yes, I did make a short out of this, so some of you might have already seen this, but I couldn't believe how well this worked, so I still had to include it because it was an awesome fight and just goes to show that not all Deinosuchus are out to get you, and sometimes you can team up. And also, these guys both had the Vigilante skin, which was pretty sick. So, after filling up a few bites of the trike, I figured I'd leave the rest for these guys since they helped me out and didn't kill me, and made my way out of North Lake and back down to Delta. But as I was heading back down, my hunger was getting low, and lo and behold, another good-sized Deinosuchus swimming, completely unaware, on top of the water. If you guys have seen any of my guides on how to grow, you do not want to be doing what he was doing. You should always be more concerned with what's under the water than what's on top of the water, when you're growing a Deinosuchus, especially in the river delta? And to answer that guy's question, no, not enough food. As you can see, my hunger's pretty low, and I'm not a croc that's going to let myself starve. And as you can see, that body didn't get me all the way back to full. It got me to about 75%, and then I made a lap down and back up delta, and I was back at the halfway mark. So that's where I draw the line these days and will kill any other croc for the food. Here, I was able to grab this guy. And these two were probably around the 8-ton mark if I had to guess, so they were pretty good sized. And I figured, you know what? I might as well use the riot shield technique. I had this guy grabbed, and I just held him in front of his buddy's face. That way, any of his bites hit him, and then I went to work on this guy. I probably could have grabbed him, but since I did that to his friend, I at least gave him the respect of a 1v1. Albeit, not really a fair 1v1, because I have probably about 3,000 to 4,000 more hit points than this guy. And that guy put up a very good fight. It was a pretty solid effort, and had he been larger, you never know, he might have got me. He played that pretty well. But anyway, his body would get me all the way back to 100% food. And after filling up my food and sitting and healing, I grabbed the other body and took it over here where there was a Tyrannosaurus Rex feasting on the corpse that I left. And you know what? I figured, hey, might as well give him the other corpse and try and make this guy's day. And then finally, as I was making my way back down Delta, I ran into what every croc fears, a pair of full primes. And I tried running at first, hoping that maybe they were lower on stamina and I could get away. But unfortunately, the guy directly behind me, he was entombed, so his swim speed mutation was better than mine, and he was able to catch me. So I had no choice but to go down swinging and put up a fight. But unfortunately, there's just not a lot you can do in a 1v2 against two full primes, especially if they knew what they were doing, and these guys had a pretty good idea what they were doing. So that is the end of that Deinosuchus' life. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you guys next time, and happy hunting.